Oh, scummy, why are you an asshole? I think I might have said this like once or twice before, I don't know. Oh, scummy, why are you wasted every day, every single moment, every hour that you're away? I only wish that I had the chance from what the song's about. Oh, scummy, why are you such a piece of shit? Okay, maybe you're not a piece of shit, and I'm just jealous. I only wish that I had the chance to get it on with Pam Anderson before she lived like my spirit and we are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. Yeah, we are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, there's probably been another mass shooting in the United States. Unfortunately, that was supposed to be a joke when I wrote it the other day, and sadly, if you followed the news, we've actually had another one today. So I wish I could honestly say our thoughts and prayers go out, but I can't, because this is fucking disgusting, and I genuinely feel for the people involved, but that's a topic for another episode. So sorry to start off so grim, but if it's Thursday, it is indeed I'm No Joe. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, somberly, to the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, I have got the one and only Golf T Vapes himself across from the octagon from me this evening. We may have some more folks joining in as the show goes on. Sorry, this is live, and as you can kind of guess, that intro fucked my brain up a little bit, as did reading the reason for it fucking my brain up. So sorry in advance. The show might be a little weird because that's fucking strange to read as you're getting ready to start a podcast. But that being said, we're gonna do the damn thing. So Golfy, I know you haven't been feeling the greatest, but how the fuck you doing right this particular moment, brother?
I feel like absolute dog shit, but I'm here to talk kicky punchies because, even feeling under the weather ain't gonna stop that, because, at least we've got a couple of, I'll say, decent fights on the card, considering it's a double whammy on the front of titles possibly changing hands. And then there is, obviously, now that Dana has put it out there, a winner gets shot at the title match going on there too. So
for sure,
there's a lot of interesting shit. The rest of the card is, in my opinion, a whole bunch of fluff, but hey, at least we've got 3 or 4 good fights on the card.
I'm right the fuck there with you. I absolutely agree 100%. So that being said, we will jump right in here, as we like to do around here. We will start with a little bit of a quick recap from last weekend's punchy kicky interestingness that we had before we dive into this weekend. Real quick, I want to start off by doing just a tiniest of tiny little recaps for Icon FC 3. For those of you who might have missed it, I am telling you right now, there are 2 matches on that card that are absolutely worth your time to go back and watch. The first of which being the pro debut of Lydia Warren. Holy fucking shit. Both of those ladies were making their pro debut, but had known of each other and had crossed paths, but never actually fought before. So there was already a little bit of behind the scenes tension. But Lydia Warren came in just looking calm, cool, and composed, like she had done this a million fucking times, was able to stay focused, keep the fucking pressure on, and just look like an absolute stud in her professional debut. That fight was fucking spectacular. But the other one, the one that we've been telling you about for a month and a half or so, that was worth your fucking time to tune into, well, guess what, boys and girls? We were not wrong. We Babe Ruth that motherfucker right out of the park, because Bo Nickel came in, and as one of the most highly touted wrestlers and grapplers and submission practitioners making his professional MMA debut last weekend, he ended up walking out with one of the fastest knockouts in fucking Icon FC history. Now, granted, this is their 3rd event, so take that with a grain of salt. But that being said, the wrestler that everyone said don't let him take you to the ground came out and showed beautiful fucking striking, and he used his hands to put his fucking opponent to sleep in his pro debut. So It's a beautiful, I believe it's a minute and 26 seconds is what they call the entire thing, I believe. So it's literally just going to take you about 5 minutes or so to watch all of the highlights from the fucking ladies match and all of the bone nickel match if you're interested. Less than 10 for the whole kit and caboodle, but Icon FC, other than that, not really a great card. But those two fights on that card as a representative for that event, worth the 10 minutes in my opinion. Now, that being said, that UFC card though, right off the bat, we said we were very interested in those ladies. There's good reason for that. Erin Blanchfield, I will say, came out a little fucking sloppy, left a lot to be desired in her initial showiness coming out. There was definitely a little bit of ego in play, but she managed to stay focused. And when JJ fucked up, she capitalized in fucking dominant fashion. So hats the fuck off to Erin Blanchfield. The fact that she then turned around and said that she thinks that she's going to be the woman to dethrone Valentina. Oofta. I mean, you got the W, you got the submission over JJ, who was absolutely at one point in time a very highly touted prospect, but excuse me, to think that that performance indicates in any way that you're ready to dethrone Valentina, I almost wonder if one of them shots from J-Day didn't land a little cleaner than we all thought it did, because that sounds a little CTE-ish, sweetheart. Calm the fuck down. Ask Macy Barber what happens when you talk too big for your fucking britches when you first get into the UFC. That crash back down to reality hurts real fucking bad. So pump the brakes a little bit. I did not realize until Saturday, Andreas Michailidis was cutting down to welterweight for this fight for his first time professionally. He is another one of those fighters that started at 205, then made the move down to middleweight, and then at fucking whatever decision in his camp made him think that he was ready to take a 170-pound fight, and he is not ready to take a 170-pound fight. He was definitely too fucking small at 170 pounds. He sucked way too much out of himself, and there just wasn't enough there. Not like he's a big middleweight to begin with, but he looked like a skeleton in the fucking ring at welterweight, and it ended up actually making the goofy looking fucking dude that he was fighting against look that much better, in my opinion, because he was able to just manhandle him and kind of throw him around and do what he wanted, even though nothing he did was very impressive or very dominant. And the crowd rightfully got a little booey during that fucking match. So, now, to be fair, we'll come back to talk about the results of shitting the bed on a big fucking stage like that for Michailidis here in just a little bit. But good on Renat. He got himself a fucking W in his UFC debut. So good on you there. The first what the fuck happened of the card, big time, in that Molina versus Zumagulov fight. It was absolutely a very close back and forth battle. I will admit that for my money, definitely a lot better than it was given credit. But this is one of the things that we complain about as fans who pay real close attention to the fights like this. The scorecards came in 29-28 Molina, 28-29 Zumagulov, and then 30-27 for Molina. A point difference, understandable from different perspectives around the cage. For someone to see it 29-28 one way, 29-28 the other way, and then one judge out of nowhere to see it as a clear 10-9, 3-0 30-27 victory. This is why you're now even starting to hear fighters and coaches say that it's time that we make judges justify their scores in situations like this. Don't just turn in numbers. Why are you giving those numbers? Because some of these guys, not to say that the fans know by any stretch of the imagination, because the average fan, even some of the hardcore fans, genuinely don't understand honest scoring credentials. But some of these judges we're seeing also clearly don't understand the scoring credentials when we've got a situation like this resulting in a split decision. To be fair, Molina got it and Molina earned it. I thought that he had that fight 30-27 all across the board, but it was close enough. I could have seen it 29-28 going back and forth for a split. What I don't think anyone agreed with was a 30-27 and a pair of back and forth 29s. Just infuriating on the judging side of things. I don't know if it's an official record with the UFC. I think it fucking should be, though. Tony Gravely landed what I will argue until I'm shown proof otherwise was the shortest hook uppercut ever landed in the UFC, resulting in a knockout. At 1:08, it took them 3 different angles of replay to see what he was telling them he knew he threw, because they didn't think that it was what he threw. And then when they get to the 3rd replay angle, you can see he literally fucking Bruce Lee 1-inch punch lands the shortest hook uppercut right on Johnny Munoz's chin, and his brain goes, what? And his whole fucking body shuts down and hard reboots in real time in the fucking ring. And I credit where credit is due. Johnny tried to fucking play it off, but no. There was no playing that one down. Tony landed that motherfucker so precise and so clean with so much power that it fucking hard rebooted Munoz in the ring. Just fucking beautiful, in my opinion. Unfortunately, the next match, again, will have deeper repercussions than I think anyone realized going into it. Nicholas Stoltz coming in against Benoit Saint-Denis. When we last saw Saint-Denis, that motherfucker was telling everybody, pay attention, because he's ready to let loose. He was not bullshitting. He ate a couple shots early. He was a little chinny in the beginning of the round. I'm not going to lie. He came in much like a lot of fighters we seem to see on last week's card, a little bit high on their own supply, kind of smelling what they were selling a little too much, if you know what I mean. And he definitely ate a lot more shots early than he should have, than he needed to. But once he kind of reeled it back in and got his fucking ego in check and started actually being smart and focusing on the goddamn fight, he did pretty goddamn good work. And when he took control and sank that fucking choke in, you almost felt bad for Stoltz in that moment, because you could see how fucking hard that fucking yank lined out, and just oof. And then again, we'll come back and mention this, because this fight inadvertently had deeper consequences than we thought it was going to. I think anybody thought it was gonna, once we get there as well. That being said, that will bring us to the roofer that disappears at lunchtime and comes back with a W, for fucking sake. Damon Jackson performed his human backpack cosplay last weekend on poor Dan Argueta. He spent, I think they said, almost 9 minutes of a 15-minute fight literally on Daniel's back, like with the hooks in backpack mode. At one point, Argueta didn't even fight it anymore. He just literally leaned back against the cage so that he was leaning against Jackson, and Jackson was getting mashed against the cage to kind of balance the leverage out on it so it wasn't cooking his legs as much. Just a weird goddamn fight. That was basically Jackson's entire game plan. Get on Dan's back and stay there. Not really threaten too much, but just stay there. And he did. And to his credit, they gave him the decision victory for it. But I don't really know if that's anything you can brag about. Like, honestly, that was pretty shitty in my opinion. Not that Argueta was doing a whole lot to really stop it or break out. He definitely still clearly needs some work as well, but this was him making his UFC debut after bouncing out of tough into the local scene again. So he's supposed to look like that in that fight. Damon Jackson, being the quote unquote UFC veteran here to test him, should have done more, in my opinion, and just didn't. So make sure your trucks are locked when you get to work and you don't keep any pills in your work truck. That being said, this will bring us to the moment that I literally had to write down in my notes live during the fight to make a point to fucking remind myself to talk about it here, because I want to take just a second aside from the fight to give Chris Taioni props for seeing what was happening. And despite him still, for some fucking reason, giving, I don't know, maybe 27 hard warnings before he did so, he did take a point during the fight from Alex Da Silva while the fight progressed without stopping it, so that Joe Solecki didn't lose the position, but Da Silva still lost the fucking point. Threw a fucking pen across the room when I did that. I like the way that was done. We saw, I think it was about a month ago. I think it was Mark Smith who did it. Stopped the fight against the cage, took a point, and then took the position away as well because the guy was fucking grabbing the fence. I like when these referees are making in the moment calls where a fence grab loses you the position because it was saving you from getting your ass taken down. And then in the opposite situation where you're hooking your feet into the cage to try and stop a dude from manhandling you, you lose a point for using your fucking feet in the cage after getting warned 34 goddamn times. But he doesn't take that position away because you're locked the fuck up and homeboy has you all kinds of tarantula fucking deep and you're not getting out of it that easily. I appreciate that referees are starting to differentiate, much like they do in submission grappling or jiu-jitsu matches, when or when not to take the position away, as well as impact the scorecard based on the behavior taking place in the fight like that. That being said, again, Joe Solecki could have given a little more, in my opinion, could have put a little bit more output out there and probably could have finished the goddamn fight. But still, a pretty good performance. I'm honestly still a little salty from the fucking Jim Miller fight, but like I say, credit where credit is due, regardless of how you feel about somebody. So if he continues to do well and he continues to be a decent human being, like we got to see him on BTL this afternoon, I might lose a little bit of that salt. But that being said, fuck Alex Da Silva. But again, this is yet another one. You guys will catch a little bit of a trend here, where this fight and your douchebag antics in that fight have deeper repercussions than maybe even the fighters themselves thought they would. And that brings us to that premier prelim fight, the rematch. What was it? 5 years in the making, I believe. Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Talk about pulling out the stops, knowing that it's shit or get off the pot moment and just giving that diaphragm. She gave it the old fucking what for. And to be fair, she said immediately afterwards and confirmed it in several interviews since, that she went into that fight knowing that if she lost, that's her. She's getting cut from the UFC and she's going to have to retire, because at that point, free agency just isn't going to give her the money she would need to be able to keep doing this. And she said that motivated her, and you could fucking see it. You could absolutely fucking see it. And on the opposite side of that coin, you could see that Felice had not put the time in. Yes, she had taken time off, but she had not put the time in to get back to the shape you need to be able to compete even at unranked fucking levels in the UFC. Because I love Carolina, but she's not even got a number next to her fucking name right now for very good reason. She was on a 5-fight skid coming into this fucking match. And props to Felice for being determined to fucking come back despite several serious fucking injuries that would have gotten most people to walk away from the game to begin with. But there's a reason we say all the fucking time, if you don't think you can still compete, don't. There are other avenues. She openly bragged about making $250,000 from her OnlyFans. I don't understand that either. Make that money, boo boo. I don't understand it either. But this is not a lady Conor McGregor situation where she's sleeping in silk sheets but still has the hunger for the fight game, clearly, because she didn't put the hours in and it showed. We've seen in Conor's performances, yeah, that fucking leg broke, but Conor's putting the fucking miles in when he trains. He might sleep in silk sheets, but he still gets on the fucking Gucci mink bike and rides 35 fucking miles the next day. So you can't take that away from him. Felice was not doing that same fucking program, and it showed. And to her credit, when they officially read that decision, she announced right there that she was officially retiring from MMA. As I completely agree that she should have in that situation. I honestly don't think she needed to catch that public ass whooping to know that she needed to hang him up. But if that was the icing she needed on the cake and the dot she needed at the end of that sentence, then I hope the ink dries and she's happy with her performance. That being said, though, we went into it saying that even though we might not be the biggest Menafield fans, we were pulling for Team Alonso after we found out that Askar Mozarov had literally faked his own record to such an extent that he and several of his cohorts allegedly made phone calls and threatening emails from burner accounts and burner phone numbers pretending to be Full Metal Dojo and other organizations that the media representatives they were contacting knew personally and knew for a fact could not be what these people were claiming it to be. So it was very, very interesting. But Menafield exposed that motherfucker. He came in, he did work, and he got that motherfucker out of there with extreme prejudice in what they're calling 4 minutes and 40 seconds. Just, oh. One second here. Sorry, just responding to a message that I missed real quick. That being said, O'Day Osborne with some of the cleanest fucking hands we have seen him produce to date. Just the cleanest fucking counter KO that he's ever fucking put up on highlight reel, in my opinion here. They called that a minute one, and I don't think it was a minute. I think that was after referees jumping in and a couple seconds taken away. That was a sub 1 minute knockout, in my opinion. Just looking like a fucking $1,000,000. And then we get the ladies fight. We talked about this last week because up until I think it was about an hour before the fight itself actually took place, they still didn't even have poor Karine Silva listed Not by name, not by picture, not by anything, on the official UFC website even. And then she came out and just fucking manhandled Polyana Botella. Not that Botella's anything really to be afraid of, but she came out and fucking manhandled her way through it. So there was that. That being said, the People's Co-Main event. Michael Trezano versus Lucas Almeida. Just a fucking back and forth war. But what ironically turned out to be another running theme of the evening last weekend, and a understandable but very questionable stoppage. Lucas Almeida gets the TKO in round 3 in just about a minute there. Great back and forth fight, but man, there was questionable refereeing and questionable judging on display last Saturday. Unfortunately, neither one of those came in to factor in the co-main event's decision. Movsar Evliov just outworked Dan Ige. And to be fair, I said it last week, if Ige didn't catch that fucking KO in round 1, it was going to be a real fucking long night for him. Well, guess what, boys and girls? Round 1 came and round 1 fucking went. Ige didn't get that 50K knockout, and it turned out to be a long 15 minutes for poor Danny boy. Yeah, not the most exciting fight, but Evliov just literally grappled the ever-loving fuck out of Danny Ige, and Ige had no fucking answer for it, no way to even remotely stop it. So, what are you going to do? But like I mentioned earlier, that will bring us to the main event, where we got another understandable but definitely questionable stoppage result. Alexander Volkov catching Jairzinho Rozenstruik up against the fence and absolutely rocking him. But again, one of those situations where you can kind of see the argument for the fight being stopped, but at the same time, like, Biggie Boy never went out and immediately was arguing after the fight was fucking stopped. I'm not going to say it was a robbery. It wasn't that devastating of a call, because Volkov was landing serious shots and the momentum was physically shifting up against the cage, and you were watching him beat the fuck out of Rozenstruik. It was going badly very quickly, and had the referee not stopped it, my guess is 2, maybe 3 more shots at that fucking caliber, in that range, at that momentum level, already moving, and it would have been the end of the fight either fucking way. So I understand Rozenstruik's contesting it because he didn't technically go out. On the other hand, we've seen much worse stoppages get much higher fucking praise from people because of the ass whooping that was taking place. So, it was a stoppage. It's going to be controversial because nobody likes to get stopped. But that being said, it was understandable, in my opinion. Rozenstruik just couldn't fucking defend himself anymore. Volkov was landing down fucking hammers, and at that point, how many of them do you let a guy fucking take? What's the point where we say, okay, he's getting his ass handed to him, but he didn't technically go to sleep, so let him eat 7 more unanswered fucking 265-pound fists in his fucking face before we finally save this guy from his own fucking toughness here. That's what the referee's there to do. So at some point, we got to tip the hat and be like, yeah, no, he was getting his ass beat. Let's call that a fucking evening. I get it. I get that there's controversy, but I'm cool with it, man. Excuse me. That being said, how goes it, sir?
Pretty good. How you guys doing tonight?
Not too shabby, not too shabby at all.
Glad I was able to make it in this week. Talk about the fucking pay-per-view card.
Hell yeah. So we will jump into that here in just a few minutes here. Wrapping up Saturday night. We did, for some reason, the UFC decided they were going to actually do the right thing again, and they gave us 2 performance of the night bonuses and then a fight of the night. But, you know, because the UFC can't do anything fucking simple, we got a fight of the night in a fight that had a stoppage, not that a fight went the whole fucking range for some goddamn reason. And the fight of the performance of the nights were one good and one. What the fuck are we talking about here? Fight of the night went to Trezano versus Almeida, which they called that questionable stoppage we talked about earlier here. Good fight, but not the best of the fucking card by any stretch, in my opinion, rather. And then performance of the night bonuses went to Ode Osborne, which, hey, sub 1 minute counter striking fucking KO knockout. I get it. Give that man 50K. No issues there. My issue is when they give the other one to Kareem Silva, who absolutely looked like a fucking soup can, was fighting a fucking soup can, and didn't do anything that particularly fucking impressive on a card where we had much more impressive performances and much more impactful fights. So, you know, I get that you want to make your fucking newbie look cool and give her a fucking 50K bonus, but let her fucking earn it as well, you know? That being said, though, very, very short news week this week, actually. Just a couple of actual fight announcements, and most of those literally came this afternoon. The first one that we literally just got today, Askar Askarov is officially out of 277. They have got Alex Perez now taking on Alexandre Pantoja. So we will see if that fucking crazy spinny fuck can get in there and give Perez the business, because it's still going down in Dallas at fucking 277 on July 30th. Not nearly as exciting of a fight, in my opinion, but still entertaining potentially, and I would not be mad at seeing Pantoja get knocked the fuck out. Not that I like Perez, but I'll root for him to knock Pantoja the fuck out. We did, I believe yesterday is when this one actually came out. We got some news about this weekend that I wish I could say it was surprising, probably more disappointing than surprising. We got confirmation that for no good fucking reason, Rogan's out of 275. He's not going to Singapore to go do commentary. They're going to send Bisping instead. So we get Bisping, DC, and Anik with Megan O'Leary as backup. No fucking Sanko in mommy mode. No Rogan on the fucking mic to keep the other idiots entertaining. Like, I'm really concerned about what they're doing to the Singapore card. We'll talk a little more about that in a minute, but just... I figured at least they would give us like they did last time when Rogan, quote unquote, conveniently wasn't going to be able to do a pay-per-view card because it had a scheduling conflict that popped up 2 days before they announced the date.
Rogan wasn't going to do it anyways. When he restructured his contract, he said he was only doing stateside stuff, so no international.
Yeah.
Which, I get it. That's part of your contract now. Fuck it. Why go to Singapore if you don't have to?
You know, the fact that they waited until midway through the week to confirm it, and Rogan never did anything, knowing that people were kind of expecting it because it's a fucking pay-per-view and it's the first time the UFC's ever been to Singapore, so it's an important pay-per-view for the organization at that. And then here we are fucking 3 days out and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, Rogan's not going. You guys get Bisping. Deal with it, fuckers. So, you know, there is that. I suppose there's a chance that could be entertaining. We'll find out Saturday, because Saturday actually is a late night time, somewhat normal feeling card again. So we'll see when this weekend comes around. We got a lot of talking from Dana. Dana did a lot of fucking podcasts this week, which I think is fucking hilarious. That Dana hates talking to fucking journalists, but he loves doing stupid fucking podcasts all the goddamn time and spilling all the beans to some dipshit in a fucking moldy room when he could have literally every fucking camera and microphone in the media world pointed right in front of him and get the word out legitimately, but you know, fucking Dana's gonna do Dana things. We got two different big announcements from Dana via fucking podcast this week. The first one is that if she wins Saturday night, Valentina 100% gets a shot at whoever wins between Pena and Nunez to go for her chance at double champ status of an at 35-pound division. He says, I'm 100% sold whatever she wants to do. If she wants to go up to 35, we'll let her get the title shot at 35. She wants to cut down and go fight Carla, we'll let her jump the line and go down and cut and fight Carla if she wants to fight Carla. Whatever the hell she wants to do, if she wins Saturday, I'm 100% co-signing on it. She gets a title shot wherever she decides she wants to go play next. Or she wants to start doing crazy shit, she can do crazy shit. I'm 100% on board with whatever Valentina wants to do if she gets to win Saturday. So straight from the horse's fucking mouth, and realistically, that's real good fucking chance it's gonna go down like that. So we might have just gotten the first hat tip that Dana White is gonna let Valentina go beat the dog shit out of fucking Pena or Nunez, whoever the fuck ends up with that strap, because I think Valentina can beat it fucking one of them at this point, really. But it's officially on interview. It's out there now. Dana's confirmed it since then. Valentina wins Saturday, she can do whatever the fuck she wants. She gets a shot wherever she decides she wants to go. She's clearly fucking earned that. So that I think was very fucking cool. The other one that he said, I'm a little mixed on, to say the least here. Somebody brought it up to him on another fucking podcast, because Dana be doing Dana things this week. And he said he is quote unquote officially sold on the idea of Ultimate Fighter season 31, Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov, with no coaches fight at the end of the season, leading into the precedent that would set of fighters who are either aged out or retired fighters like GSP perhaps, who could then come in and be coaches to these young fighters who legitimately could learn in this situation from a coach who's got the experience and isn't also focusing on their own fucking fight that takes place after the show finale is done. I think that this is a little too much mental masturbation with the woulda, coulda, shoulda Tony versus Khabib shit. On the other hand, if they are going to keep it in that ex-fighter, retired fighter, aging out fighter, somebody who's hurt and is going to be on the sidelines because they just had their fucking knee operated on or something, but could still come in on crutches and coach and talk to guys and bring in their assistants and work with them, things like that, I would absolutely be okay with that. Do I want to see Tony and Khabib be the first two to do it? That's where I get a little wishy-washy on it. But the fact that Dana said that he is sold on them first to set that precedent, we'll see. We'll see where it goes. I'm open to it. I'm not excited about it, but I'm open to it. That being said, I know it's almost beach bod season, but the UFC be trimming the fat though. The UFC officially cut 9 fighters in the last 3 days. Folks who got the axe were almost exclusively losers from last weekend's card for the most part here. Luis Smoka, who we saw get his ass kicked just a couple of weeks ago and said was most likely going to be walking papers, sure the fuck was confirmed yesterday. Them's walking papers. Felice Herrig, who retired in the ring Saturday night, ironically and kind of cruelly as well, also got released from her UFC contract after she retired. So even if she hadn't retired from fighting, she wasn't going to be doing it in the UFC anymore either way. A little cold-blooded, but I get it. Andreas Michailidis, who we talked about earlier, just should not have cut down that fucking far. Cut his ass right out of the fucking UFC with that L as well. Frank Camacho, who we saw get the business just a couple weeks ago, is done getting the business under the UFC banner as of now because he got snipped the fuck out as well. Alex De Silva, the douchebag who couldn't keep his toes out of the goddamn fence and lost him a point because of it. Also lost him a UFC contract. Good mood, dipshit. The one that I don't understand out of this entire list of names, Tristan Connolly has officially been cut from the UFC. I understand that he had some ups and downs, but we have seen much worse fighters be given much better chances and much longer runs before they get cut. So it kind of struck me as a little bit odd, but he's also one of the few in this list that I believe still genuinely has the potential to go back to an LFA or a regional circuit or something, kick a couple asses, take a couple names, and then get himself back to the UFC without too much trouble as well. That being said, TJ Laramie is on his way back up to Canada because his ass is sorry kicked out of the UFC. Tuck your toque in and go, bruh. Nicholas Stoltze, who we talked about, came in looking hot, ended up not. Actually got himself an L and walking papers from this last weekend's fuck up. And then the one that we've been waiting for since we heard his dumbass popped hot for USADA once again, Felipe Colares has officially been released from his UFC contract as well. Goodbye, good riddance, go fuck yourself. That being said, the two actual fight announcements, like genuine, these are a fight that were put together to be this fight announcements that we got this week, are what I'm going to wrap the news segment up here with. The first one I'm very interested in for a number of fucking reasons. Adriano Moraes versus DJ Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson 2, the runback, is officially taking place August 26th as the main event on ONE FC's first ever Amazon Prime card. That's right. They are doing a card exclusively on Amazon Prime. So the run back, the fact that DJ lost that match originally by a soccer kick to the fucking head after talking about how happy he was that Aljamain Sterling got fucking kicked in the head and made fun of for it. The fact that they're running it back, they're making it the fucking main event. It's going to be on Amazon fucking Prime. I think that ONE FC is doing everything fucking right to market that match and make it what it should genuinely fucking be. But the literal last minute announcement, just, I shit you not, came down the pipe. What did we say, TJ? Like 7 o'clock, 6:30 this afternoon, like literally within the last couple hours.
Yeah.
Came down the fucking pipe here. I would say arguably the biggest news of the week so far, hands down, in my opinion. Now officially confirmed by multiple sources on both sides as well. The closest we may in our lifetime come to seeing a true cross-promotional UFC versus Bellator matchup. It's officially been booked. August 20th in London. BKFC 27 will officially be headlined by Michael Venom Page versus Aluminum Mike Perry in fucking bare knuckle. Contracts are signed. It is all fucking confirmed. BKFC has done what Bellator couldn't do in 3 times around, and that is put MVP in a main event in London and let him sell 1 million fucking tickets. Guess what? They let him take the gloves off, and BKFC put him on the promotion. That motherfucker went crazy. It broke the MMA internet for about an hour and a half this afternoon when that came out. I literally watched it interrupt live MMA news, like completely disrupt the whole fucking rhythm of live shows that were taking place when it came down the pipe. I'm not fucking joking. This is one of the genuinely most interesting matchups we have seen put together in a hot fucking minute here. And like I said, this is the closest we might ever genuinely get to a UFC versus Bellator crossover. Oddly enough, it's taking place bare fucking knuckle, and MVP, the quote unquote top contender over in Bellator, is awfully fucking brave, in my opinion, legitimately, for taking the fucking gloves off and risking his already controversially fragile fucking hands with no gloves now, just fucking wrist wraps, against Mike Perry, who we know for a fact has a skull made out of fucking stone. That granite skulled son of a bitch is not easy to hit, and he can and has leaned into a punch to make you crack that fucking monkey dome of his. Like, he'll let you get it right there. He'll let you get it all fucking night, hurt your fucking hands, and he'll keep walking in your face for it. So I'm fucking here for it. That's a crazy fucking weekend. I think they said that that's one of the weekends where we have every major organization putting a card on that weekend as well. So on top of all the fucking craziness, we're going to get MVP versus Mike fucking Perry bare knuckle on top of all that weekend. I'm fucking here for it, dude. I'm fucking here for it. So, that being said, that will bring us to our marquee namesake, if you will, the reason for the season, the name on the episode here, UFC 275, TeixeiraVsProchazka, taking place live from Singa-POOR Indoor Stadium in Singapore, Singapore. I don't really understand how the fuck it worked out so well, but it just happened to do that. We're back to a, I won't say traditional, but what we're more accustomed to of a later Saturday start for this UFC pay-per-view event. Early prelims kicking off 5:30 Central Time, US here, despite them being over in Singapore. That starts our main card at 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard, boys and girls. We are back to what we're more accustomed to of a late Saturday card again, after what was an insultingly early card the other day on that fucking stupid 9 a.m. starting fucking prelim card that we had before. But getting into our 275 here, like I said, this is a Singapore pay-per-view in my opinion here. Main card, not bad. Understandably, they put predominantly the biggest fights on the main card, but this one, I kind of feel like they really dropped the ball on the prelim, both the prelims and the early prelims. There's a couple on the prelims themselves, but the early prelims, aside from being opened by Jocelyn Edwards, who is one of the main training partners for Valentina Shevchenko, there really isn't honestly a whole lot of interest on that early prelim card at all. And even in Jocelyn Edwards' fight, Ramona Pasquale isn't that threatening. They're both still fairly new on their way through the UFC, so nothing really that terribly entertaining, in my opinion, on that early prelim card. The prelim card itself, though, again, not world breakers, but there's a little more interest in there. Half the card, rather, at least has me paying attention. The Brandon Allen versus Jacob Malkoun fight. I'm very interested in how the fuck that shakes loose. I don't know what Brandon Allen is going to show up, but we know how Jacob Malkoun plans to get through him. So Malkoun being Robert Whittaker's, main training partner and another representative of their gym as well, always out to make a statement, but we've seen him be hit and miss literally as well. More often than not, Brandon Allen is just Mr. Inconsistent for the most part, though he seems to have it pulled together a little more lately. I'm just curious to see how those two can finally fucking shake loose. The one that I genuinely am interested in, though, the one thing prior to the main card that has any of my genuine 100% focus is the first fight on the actual prelims, though. The man who said he was going to make it happen, and he did. Andre Thelio versus Jake Matthews. Jake Matthews is no walk in the park for anybody. Now we're talking about a guy coming back on a short turnaround. Granted, he didn't take much fucking damage in his last fight when he was out there, so I understand that he was still probably in pretty good shape and fairly ready to go. But he also just made weight and put on that adrenaline dump just a couple weeks ago. So we have seen that play to both sides of the advantage here. Jake Matthews isn't going to give you a whole lot of room to fuck up. I'm kind of curious how it fucking shakes loose.
Yeah, I'm excited for both of those fights. I think the Fiallo fight and Matthews fight, that's going to be a good way to start the prelims. I agree with you. Early prelims, it's 3 sleepers, and hopefully we'll see something good. You know, that'll be the time. The pregame, have a couple beers, a couple dabs, you grab something to eat. You know, but once Fiallo and Matthews gets going, I feel like that'll be a good fight because, like you said, I feel like it'll be a good test for Fiallo. He just came off of 274. He's only been a month since he fought. You're not fighting a scrub this time. So the biggest thing, go get another first round knockout finish. It really, puts him in a different spot. You got to give him somebody up there in the contention. So.
Yeah, absolutely. If he does it on the turnaround this fucking quick, pay-per-view to fucking pay-per-view, literally, and then gets himself another first round, I mean, that boy is representing Sanford real fucking strong right now. We've been saying for a hot minute that those boys out in Deerfield Beach don't fuck around. Henry Hooft ain't nothing to fucking shake a stick at, dude. And Andre Thelio seems to be one of the fucking latest and brightest fucking stars representing for that goddamn gym. So I'll tune in.
This is what his 4th fight this year, right?
Yeah, this is going to be his 4th fight this year. He's getting
crazy.
It, dude. He's fucking getting it. Now, to be fair, I'm not genuinely excited, but I am going to tune in to the quote-unquote premier prelim fight here. Sungwoo Choi is one of those dudes that he doesn't like. There is no gray area with him. Either he shows up and he looks like he's the kid in the middle of left field chasing butterflies, or he shows up and he's twisted the knob to 11, broken it off, and thrown it at the fucking referee before the bell rings. Like, there is no gray area with this dude. He either brings it or he's fucking Eeyore the whole goddamn time. And I'm not so much excited to see the fight. I'm just curious to see which Sungwoo Choi we get in this fight, because Josh Kalibao, he's not a world breaker, but for a little dude, he packs a fucking wallop. He's one of those tiny ice cream shaped fellas where the majority of his muscles in his goddamn shoulder. So if he leans in and lands one on you and you're fucking around, he can end your fucking evening real quick. So it could get interesting. It could get, not that I think it will, but if you prepare for it not to be, and it does.
Do we get the version of him that knocked out Julian Erosa? Exactly. Or do we get the version of him that was subbed out by Alex Garces? Like,
yeah, the one that Bruce Lee choked out, or do we get the guy that knocked out Juicy J?
Yeah. Which one do you fucking get? I agree with you on that. Yeah, hopefully, that's how I always feel about all the fights. Luckily, a few of the fights on the prelims this week, I actually knew some of the fighters. Some of them I had to look into, do some notes on, obviously. And I'm just always trying to be optimistic and hope. As a fight fan, you want to see good fights. But there's literally, like you said, there's maybe 3, hopefully 4 out of these 7 on the prelims that, will be good fights. Hopefully we get at least 5. Right. I'll be really happy going into the main card if 5 of them wind up going to finish or really good fights and just a couple of duds. Everything on the main card, I feel like the first couple will definitely be good, and then the last few will be really good. Could potentially be great fights. You know.
Right. So that'll bring us right into it. The meat and potatoes of the meat and potatoes here in our meat and potatoes section here. Starting right off with the little fucking frylets up at the tippity top here. One of the most fucking talked about up and coming fucking prospects from down under right now, Jack Della Magdalena. Just coming up like a fucking thunderstorm right now. Not that Amib is anything he really needs to be too terribly concerned about. It's kind of a tee up fucking softball fight, in my opinion here. They really want Madalena to come in and just fucking knock him right out of the goddamn park and look like a fucking stud to kick off the fight. That's what this fight looks like to me. Always a puncher's chance, as they fucking say, but in this situation, Jack's really the better puncher too, so even then it's not so much of a great fucking chance if you're Amib this weekend. But you know, stranger things have happened. There's no fucking guarantee. But if I had to fucking pick gun to my head, I should have wouldn't put it on Amib unless I had some real handy inside information. That being said, though, I almost feel bad for being excited for the second fight on the main card here. Not because I'm really excited for the fight itself. I honestly could give two fucks less about Rogerio Bontorin or Manel Cape. But the fact that we got confirmation last week, that he has officially pulsed twice since being in the USADA pool for the same exact fucking M3 metabolite that John Jones pulsed for, and is being allowed to continue to fight because his pulsed confirmation is still under the picogram threshold. But that being said, there's only one fucking way you get that M3 metabolite in your body, and that's from taking the fucking steroid that breaks down into it. So whether you like it or not, at some point you fucking juiced, pal, and you got caught coming down off of it. You were low enough you're not going to get punished, but you still got fucking caught. And then this prick had the balls to go to his fucking press conference at Media Day and talk shit about how he's under the picogram level. There's nothing anybody can fucking say or do about it. They just got to move on and look forward. Fuck you. Now I hope Bontorin knocks you the fuck out, you loudmouth dipshit. Kids these days, I tell you. Bontorin's not a world breaker. He's not the strongest dude on the goddamn roster by any stretch of the imagination. But he's also no fucking slouch. When he shows up and he's on fucking money, he's on the fucking money. We have yet to see Manel Cape really do anything of substance since he's come over to the UFC, aside from pissing hot and talking a lot of shit. He's got some stoppages, he's got some wins, but nothing really impressive and nothing that really makes me think he's going to be able to come out here and just walk through Rogerio like he seems to think that he's going to be able to. So I'm almost more interested in watching this fight to see, hopefully, Bontorin just bitch slap that motherfucker around for 15 minutes than anything else, honestly.
The only way Manel Cape wins this fight is if he knocks Bontorin out in the first round. If it goes past the first round, Bontorin takes him.
Yeah, which honestly, if he can get that first round fucking KO, hey, I ain't shit anybody can fucking say at that point. But I don't have a whole lot of fucking faith in the realism of that possibility coming true either. So not that I am fucking on that Bontorin fucking bandwagon by any stretch of the imagination, but if you put me between a turd sandwich and a fucking douche, I'm gonna make a choice. You might not like it, but I'm gonna make a fucking choice. Kids these days. But luckily, that's gonna bring us to one of the strongest people's co-main events we have seen in a hot fucking minute, in my opinion. One of the few genuinely warranted and asked for rematches the UFC has put together in a hot minute, while it's still relevant as a rematch, which makes it even fucking crazier. Weili Zhang versus Joanna Jacek. Now, to be fair, they are running this as a 3-round fight, and confirmed by Dana White this week, whoever wins, which either one of them wins, will get the next shot at Carla Esparza for the title. Why they then didn't make this a 5-round fight, but we could see all sorts of other stupid fucking Diaz 5-round fights and shit when they were people's co-main events, I don't understand. But, you know, hey, Dana White gonna do what Dana White gonna do. I am excited to see that this is going to be a rematch, but in watching Embedded series and watching that fight back again, and doing more research, getting ready for this weekend coming up, I was gleefully reminded that while Joanna did not get completely one-way trafficked in that fight, she absolutely did land some notable shots in that fight. She didn't win that fight. She absolutely did not win that fight. Anyone that thinks she did is as delusional as her fucking cornerman was. But she did land significant and fucking notable shots in that fight. The issue is that for the most part, all or predominantly the bulk of her significant and serious strikes that she landed in that fight took place in rounds 4 and 5, when she already had a fucking hot air balloon of blood showing up on her forehead, looking more like a Ferengi than a fucking Pollock. She did land strikes, but it was so fucking late in the fight that she finally pulled the trigger and landed those strikes. She's not going to get that chance again now that they're only fighting for 3 rounds. Weili Zhang dominated the first 3 rounds of that fight and noticeably started to fade a little bit in 4 and 5, where Joanna clearly picked up the pace and had the gas tank to fucking hold the pace steady for round 4 and 5, where she started to genuinely do work. Not enough to win the fight, but did work. You ain't got those extra rounds, sweetheart. You ain't got that extra 10 minutes this time. And if you can't put your foot down on the fucking pedal and do that work from the beginning, I don't think you get the chance. Weili Zhang, aside from being clearly physically bigger and stronger than Joanna, is a hell of a wrestler. A hell of a wrestler. And where has she been for the last 2 years since their last fight? Oh, that's right. Fight Ready in Arizona with Henry Cejudo and a whole fucking gym full of wrestlers, making sure that her wrestling is on point in MMA wrestling, which she's already pretty fucking great at. And then you look at Joanna. Where has Joanna been for the last 2 years since they fought? Oh, that's right. She took 8 months off because she didn't feel like doing MMA for a while. She took 6 months off because she wanted to just go beach hopping and quote unquote live her best life. She took 6 months and started up a couple businesses. She took 6 months and did some tourism for the UFC, did some promotional shit. But for the most part, she's been moving and shaking and not in the goddamn gym for 2 fucking calendar years. She willingly let herself get removed from the official rankings because she had not competed in so fucking long, and has openly said that for a while she just didn't feel like MMA and didn't do it for a while. Meanwhile, Weili's been in the cage 3 times since they fought last. Granted, 2 of those were on the losing end of the fucking Rose Namajunas fiascos, but she's still been in the cage and working and in camp grinding and working, while Joanna's been out globe-trotting, jet-setting, and gallivanting. And, you know, there is something to be said of once you get to a certain level, the muscle memory is there and you just have to fine-tune it. But there's also something to be said that when you take 2 years off, you can get Felice Herring real fucking easy. I'm not saying Weili's going to knock her the fuck out easily, I'm saying I kind of think Wiley's going to knock her the fuck out easily. Joanna is kind of the definition of you got a puncher's chance, but Wiley punches harder, cleaner. I don't know, man. I got a real hard time seeing Joanna taking this fight, especially since it's 3 rounds. If it was 5 rounds, I would think that there would be a genuine better chance. But pushing it back to 3, I don't know, boys. What do you guys think about this one?
Dude, look, I'll say this. When I made my picks, this was my one upset pick that I made. Not because I didn't see the odds the same way Vegas does. I see Wiley as the fucking much larger favorite over Joanna, but I did pick Joanna for this reason. Sometimes you need to just get out of your own fucking head, because she was not doing well in her last 4 or 5 fights that she's had. Maybe she needed that time away to regather her shit and get herself back together. Similar to like a Misha Tate type situation where she kind of walked away for a while because she wasn't fucking fully focused. And coming back, that's where I pick her. Not to mention, my thought in this is they don't have 5 rounds. So this is going to be a fucking barn burner from the get-go. So it's going to be a way faster pickup than the last fight was. Not that the last fight was fucking slow by any means, but it's going to be way quicker. And in 3 rounds, I think Joanna can possibly get her in 3 rounds. Do I think it's going to happen? No, just because of the time off. But maybe the time off is what she needed. And that's where we'll see that fucking, oh shit, she did need that 2 years off going beach and fucking shaking her ass all over or whatever the fuck she was doing. God only knows. But I still think we're going to get one hell of a barn burner. And to be honest, out of all the fights on the card, this one is the one that I say has fight of the night written all over it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the most excited about this fight, getting to see the rematch of this. I mean, as much as I wished that Dana would have made it a 5-round fight, I kind of feel that same way. With it being a 3-rounder, it's going to make the both of them like light a fire under their ass in the first round. They're not going to, try to see each other out. They're not going to take their time with anything. They're just going to get right to it. So even though we only get 15 minutes and the other 10 minutes, I do agree that it would play to more of an advantage, I think, for Joanna to win if she had a 5-round fight, mainly just because she's fought in like 10 fucking championship fights. Like most of her career in the UFC she's been in championship fights or like main event fights, 5-round fights compared to 3-round fights. I think I heard this week during media day, this is only like her third in her career, 3-round fight. Like that's fucking crazy. And she's had 10 fucking 5-rounders. So I feel like I want to go with Joanna because I like her. And I always like going for the underdogs. So, like, my pick, I'll probably pick her, But I do technically the gut leans more towards Wei Li because of the layoff, the 2-year layoff. Like, we even saw it a few weeks ago with Holly Holm. I think Holly won the fight, and I don't know what the fuck the judges saw in that fight, but she still did seem slow. She didn't seem the same after having the 2-year layoff. And maybe that, was part of the problem is why the judges, had their heads up their asses. They just thought she was more boring as they went with Vieira in that fight. But Joanna, she definitely can't make any mistakes in this fight. And she has to be extremely active. She's got to, you said she's got the puncher's chance. She's got to get the puncher's chance, in my opinion, to get this win. We'd have to see her get a finish. Like we saw Rose knock out Wei Li. So Joanna'd have to get a knockout or something. In my opinion, if it goes to decision, they're probably going to give it to Wei Li. Even if it's another close fight, she'd really have to do something. That's the thing. These 3 rounds, he's going to start right from the beginning. I agree with what Golf T said. It's going to be a hell of a barn burner fight, and I'm excited as fuck for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Excuse me. Joanna is that one person that you can never say she can't land that punch, because she's always capable of landing that punch unless you knock her out. The problem is she's definitely more threatening with quote unquote that punch when she's on her feet. She doesn't tend to do well from her back, and she's not that great on the ground in general. And Wiley is a bull, man. If she wants to put you on the fucking ground, there are very few people who've been able to stop her so far. Unless you can land a head kick that's real clean, she takes them for the
That's where
ride.
I think her biggest weakness is going to show this weekend. Even though I want to root for Joanna, you haven't, like Golf. You said, and you said you haven't even really trained in 2 years, let alone fucking fought. You've just been kind of screwing around and enjoying your life. Your takedown defense is probably going to be god fucking awful. And if Weili wants to just go that route, you know, just wrestle it, you're fucked.
Yeah, no shit.
She's got no ability, in my opinion, to get back up or any of the above. You know, her takedown defense is going to be awful. So she better hope that Weili wants to knock her out, just like in the first fight. And she's got that same attitude. They just want to stand and trade. Hopefully we see that too, just for the fan aspect. It'll be more exciting. I don't want to see it go to the ground.
Right. And in that vein that I make a point to preach, and I will till I fucking die. Credit where credit is due, regardless of how you feel about the person. She has spent a lot of time, Wiley has, down at Fight Ready, and Henry Cejudo, for the douchebag that he is, and he is, much like Daniel Cormier, in my opinion, is a much better coach than he ever was a fighter. And he does know his shit from a coach's perspective. You can watch him coach and hear in what he's having them do, how he's responding, and the way that he interacts with his fucking trainees. He's much better, in my opinion, of a coach than he was a fighter. And he has got her dialed the fuck in tighter than a drum. And her wrestling is so fucking on point and smoothly integrated into her game. If she grabs Joanna around the waist one time, she's going for the fucking ride. And if Joanna gets thrown one time, it can change the whole momentum real goddamn fast. Henry has got her fucking tuned up, in my opinion. But that is just the people's co-main event, the appetizer, as it were, the potatoes part rotten, leading us into the actual meat and potatoes of this meat and potatoes portion on the meat and potatoes platter here. That is UFC 275, our co-main event, the first of two titles up for grabs on the Singapore soil Saturday evening, boys and girls. The Bullet is back in the octagon hunting for another ruby. Valentina Shevchenko taking on challenger Taila Santos for the ladies 125 strap. All praise be to the MMA gods. The sacrifice has been aligned. It shall be done. I feel bad for Taila Santos's family, but I hope that her blood appeases the gods, because it's gonna, Valentina is gonna fuck that poor girl up. I try and give everybody some semblance of the benefit of the doubt. I like the phrase "there's a puncher's chance," but when you're fighting the Bullet and you're the likes of a Taila Santos, I genuinely do not feel that there is a puncher's chance here. I feel that there is that 1 in a million something crazy happens. Maybe Valentina twists an ankle, or in a throw she lands weird, or she gets caught off balance and Tyla's able to capitalize. Something crazy could always happen, but I don't feel like this is one of those situations where Taila has some aspect of her game that she will, even in a weird moment, be able to impose on Valentina that will put Shevchenko in trouble. I don't have anything against Taila Santos. I genuinely don't. But at this point, it's going to be hard for someone to convince me that Valentina is not literally on her third lap around the entire fucking division. It's not that there aren't people capable of fighting for the belt in the women's 125-pound division. It's that Valentina is so fucking much better than all of them. None of them can make the fight competitive. This is why I was glad to see that Dana finally understands after Valentina slaughters this poor new fucking lamb that Dana brought up from Brazil. She needs a real challenge because she's clearly getting bored beating the shit out of all these girls at 125 pounds, and Misha is not going to be a threat to her by any stretch of the imagination, even if she gets past Lauren Murphy. So when Saturday night comes around and Valentina massacres this poor Taila Santos, I just hope that Pena and Nunez are both watching, because it doesn't matter which one of them wins, Valentina's coming for that ass. She's about to be champ this year. I have faith.
Look, there's only one way to explain this fight, and that's Talia Santos. It's time for her to bite the bullet. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they can sell this fight a little bit just because of some of the names that Santos has beat. You know, she's beat Joanne Wood, Roxanne Modafferi, you know, Jillian Robertson. She beat some really tough girls. And she does only have the one loss. But it's like you guys said, she's just it's like I'm feeling with Alexander Volkanovski now, and we'll see it next month whenever we get the trilogy with Max. We're going to see how great they really are. Like, that's what Valentina's going to do this Saturday. She's going to show us how great she really is. Like you said, she already lapped it, and she can go out and murder this girl. As good as this girl is, all the other girls that she's beat that are really tough, and she's going to get fucked. She's going to get – that's how I feel about it. I mean, we might, like you say, like we always say, you give them the credit. She has beat a lot of tough girls. She might get the puncher's chance. I at least hope, because Lauren Murphy made it a 4-round fight. Before Valentina got the finish last year, Lauren Murphy lasted 4 rounds. So maybe we see Talia Santos last a few rounds so that it's a little interesting for us as fans, a little excited. But we know it's going to be a dominant fight. Like, there's no question about it. I don't even think Amanda Nunes, hopefully Amanda wins the title back so that when Valentina goes up to challenge for the, you know, the next title, it's more interesting because Amanda's beat her twice. Let's get that trilogy fight, the chance for Valentina to get the one that she's never got before, right? Because Juliana Pena, nobody wants to. She'll go and stomp Juliana just the same as what she's going to do to Santos this weekend. So, I mean, I know that's what we all want to see. But then what's the step after that if she beats Amanda Nunes? That's the other thing. She's definitely a pound-for-pound women's fighter. She's working her way to the greatest of all time, like everybody was saying about Amanda Nunes, which I still think she's one of the greatest of all time. She'll prove that again a couple months by beating Pena, getting her belt back. Yeah. I hope the fight's exciting. But I think Santos is going to get murdered. I think there's a good way to sell it because she's beating a lot of good names. But I don't see how anybody could be on Santos's side or feel like she's got any chance to even last 5 rounds, like even get the decision. I don't see she got the chance in that. Let's last 3. Give us 3 rounds before you get finished.
Yeah, it feels like the only people really rooting for Tyler Santos here are literally, like, legitimately her friends and family, like her cornermen and her training partners. Like, there aren't any fighters that I've seen come out and really be like, Tyler Santos has got this, she's taking the belt. There are no media MMA journalists whatsoever who are like, this is Valentina's last reign as champion. Nobody. Other than literally Santos's people are like, she's got this. There's a reason for that, man. People aren't like, oh man, Godzilla's gonna get his ass kicked by the Tokyo military this week. No, that's not how these things work. And to add insult to injury, I literally laughed out loud laughed so loudly when I saw this earlier that my wife came in to check on me. One of the UFC posts today from the official UFC Instagram talking about the upcoming card to get people hyped about it. The first clip that they show, I fucking wish I was making this up, is Valentina Shevchenko flipping over and submitting Juliana Pena with ease and standing up and just going, I mean, the fights between Amanda and Valentina were two of, in my opinion, the greatest ladies fucking fights in bantamweight history. I get that Ronda had huge, voluminous fights crowd-wise. I mean, like, impact-wise, great fight-wise, fucking crazy battle-wise. Amanda and Valentina have fucking gone at it. So if they go back at it again for that fucking champ status with Amanda holding 35 and 45 and Valentina holding 25, coming to take that 35 and steal the fucking middle ground, things could get real fucking interesting. But on the other hand, if Pena manages to do the unthinkable and keep that fucking belt and stop Nunez a second time, boy, you know damn well she's going to be real fucking nervous, considering she is going to have had less trouble beating Nunez twice than she will have had beating Valentina one time. So things.
So if that scenario comes up, do you see? So if Valentina goes and then beats Pena, takes the 135 belt, so she got the 125 and 135. Well, Nunez still has the 145, and there's nobody else there. You see Valentina fucking putting some weight on, trying to go to 145, just fucking have three, just take all of them. Just go get Nunez because fucking Pena held on to the belt, so you got to go get Nunez anyway.
Chase her all the way up to 45.
Fucking to be honestly, like, oh, I got all the championships.
Yeah, as much as I would love to see it, and realistically, if there's any lady in the UFC, in my opinion, 100% realistically has a possibility of being a 3-division champion, my money would undeniably go on Valentina. But realistically, considering her frame and considering the style that she fights, I don't know that she would be able to put enough bulk on to genuinely compete with Amanda at 45. At 35, we've seen they're fucking dangerously close. But Amanda's also more used to now fighting at 45 and cutting the extra to get to 35 when she has to, whereas Valentina's on the other side of that. She's cutting down to 25 on the regular and can cut less to 35 if she's got the opportunity to fight. I think it would be fun. It would be real fun, but I just don't think there's enough meat on that girl's bones to hold up to go to 145, really. It could be cool, but I just think she ain't framed right for it. Oh, but that being said, that will bring us to the filet mignon. That is the meat in the meat and potatoes of the meat and potatoes portion of the show, the marquee name that you came to talk about here, the reason for the season, UFC 275's Singaporean headliner, Glover Teixeira versus Yuri Prochazka for the light heavyweight championship belt. one of, in my opinion, the craziest sentences that has been said about the 205 division in a long time. Glover Teixeira versus ImProchazka for the belt. Just saying that sentence out loud doesn't even feel real sometimes. But this is one of those situations that I don't want to say we told you so, but we informed you thusly on a multitude of occasions. We've basically been telling you since before they matched Glover and Anthony Smith up that you better watch that old man. He's on a fucking run right now. He's really fucking serious, and he's also really fucking sharp. Nobody seemed to really pay too much attention to that warning, and we gave it week after week after week after week. You look, laugh all you want about the old man strength. Yeah, the old man's still around for how long? Yeah, it's funny. Ah, ha, ha. Well, that old man just kept winning and just kept winning, and they kept laughing and going, that old man's still at it. Look, that old man's still at it. Well, that old man took out every single fucking person they put in front of him until that old man found his way looking down the barrel of the fucking belt, and he took it by force, undeniably. And it's genuinely hard to argue that that old man at almost 43 years old isn't genuinely looking better than anyone else almost literally half his age in that whole goddamn division. They brought in a 30-something young pup to try and take the belt away from the old man. And you know what? I don't think he can fucking do it. I think Prochazka absolutely has some weapons in his arsenal. I absolutely, like I say, credit where credit is due. Prochazka has some interesting weapons in his arsenal. I will absolutely give him that. But I don't think he's got the know-how to get past that crafty old bastard. I think Glover really is going to get those last 2 fucking wins on his way out. And he has said he's got 2 win spots left on his walls of his house. That's all he needs to fill, and he can happily retire. And Prochazka is about to be the next to last one to fill. I don't think he's joking. I don't think he's making a light statement of it. And I don't think he's trying to be egotistical. I think he's being 100% genuine. I think he has put in the time, the effort, and blood, sweat, and tears to guarantee that he is capable and competent enough to get 2 more solid wins in the UFC and then hang his hat and ride off into the fucking sunset. Prochazka definitely has some tools, but I think the old man's got something up his fucking sleeve that the kid ain't ready for this time. And as much as I think Prochazka might have a legitimate chance against a lot of dudes, I think the old man's got something planned. And I think we see, and still, I think the old man keeps the fucking strap.
Dude, I'm right there with you. Don't get me wrong, credit where credit is due. Yuri has come onto the scene of the UFC like a goddamn firecracker and decimating people that are put in front of him. Thus, and also we have one of the greatest spinning back elbows you'll ever see in history because of him. But at the same time, the dude has no ground game. Not that anybody has seen, because everything has stayed on his feet. Whereas you have a very crafty Glover Teixeira who's been in this game for 20 fucking years. And he seems to be, he's like a fucking fine wine. He's getting better with age. And that's a scary proposition at 43. Like, he's starting to remind me of like fucking Randy Couture. Fucking getting up there in age and just getting better and better and better. Yuri, you got a chance as long as it stays standing. But if it goes to the ground, I don't give a shit what they said in interviews. No amount of training is going to be ready for Glover's ground game. The first thing he started when he started MMA training was jiu-jitsu. And he was a wrestler before that. So the dude's got the fucking long time credentials of doing all of that hard grinding work. And to be honest, I don't think there's anybody in the light heavyweight division that works as hard as he does at it, because he has to. Diminishing returns as you age. That's how that fucking works. So you have to work twice as hard as these younger guys like Yuri. And that's no disrespect against Yuri, because, like I said, he's probably one of the best signings the UFC has made in quite some time, because he's really been an exciting fighter to watch and get some great highlights off of. And UFC can still make a buttload of money off of him, especially with his crazy ass top knot, because ain't nobody got that shit going on.
Right.
But
yeah, there we go.
I don't think he gets past him unless he knocks Glover Teixeira out in the first round. Teixeira's going to get him down to the ground, and I think he submits him in the second.
Okay.
Good luck, Yuri. Well, that's all I can say. Good luck, because you're going to need it, dude.
Why does this not work? Oh, that's why.
I feel the same as you guys. I mean, the experience is what's going to be the difference. And, you know, Glover's got the ground game and all that, but then the 20 years experience, like as talented as Yuri seems and the weapons that he's got, the knockouts that we've seen him put out, I don't feel like he's had the same amount of experience yet. And we really haven't. I haven't seen his ground game at all. I've never seen him down on the ground. So if it gets to the ground, if Glover gets it to the ground, I feel like it's over. So
yeah, and
I just can't go with Yuri on it. I think it's going to be exciting as hell.
right. It fucked up on me the first time, but I did get it fixed finally here. The Tapology picks loaded here for Golfy and I. We both got it. Shevchenko by KO in round 2. Teixeira by submission. I went round 3 because I think he's going to toy with him a little more. Golfy's got him for submission for round 2, but we both pretty much see the fucking main and the co-main going the same fucking direction in about the same relative amount of time coming down the fucking line here. So that being said, that is our talks for the UFC 275 here. As you did see, our Tapology picks are up. If you would like to join in the fun of Tapology picks, we are not in any way sponsored or endorsed by Tapology.com. We do, however, take advantage of their free account service. You as well can go on, make yourself a free account, click on Pick'em Groups. You can look for either Group 965 or ImNoBookie, all together, one word. Link is also down in the doobly-doo. Follow the Linktree link down there for all the goodies. Join the group, make some picks, go head to head. We will be in there this weekend. While the main card of the event is live this weekend, I will have an update stream here on the channel as well with our lovely Eddie and the Arsons tunes from the Pilar Cheeks, the one and only, blessing our ear holes with lovely musics, along with the Tapology picks for all of our folks in the group in a live rotating image slideshow for you to keep up with. Lovely music to go in the background, fight updates in real time to keep you occupied. What more could you really fucking want? That being said, any of the links you need, all of the socials, all of the goodies, the link tree and everybody's socials and all that shit are all down in the links. Thank you first and foremost to everyone, whether you are catching this live, you are catching it on the replay, or you're hearing this on the all audio format. We appreciate you just the same. If you like what we are doing around here, make sure you are thumbs up, liking, and subscribing, and notifications turned on whatever platinum you are picking this up on, whether you are catching us live Thursday nights, 9:30-ish Central Time on the ImNoJoe YouTube channel, youtube.com/ImNoJoe, or you're catching this a week after the fact, anchor.fm/ImNoJoe, picking it up through your podcast consumption platform of choice. Shout out to Apple Podcasts, who's been running the shit out of us this last couple of weeks. I don't know how or why, but hey, fucking A. On the other side of things, though, if you would like to help do what we do around here, patreon.com/ImNoJoe is the best way to do that. For as little as $1 a month, you can help us do what we do. Get your name added to the thank you list at the end of the show, and you get access to behind the scenes, unaired, and literally terrible shit that I can't let the public see without keeping it behind the paywall. Helps us do what we do, gives you interesting shit. Everybody fucking wins. Shout out to the Patreons. You guys are the MVPs. That being said, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, why the fuck are you still here in a podcast this deep you didn't like? Fuck off, give us a thumbs down and go away. We won't even dispute it. That being said, we're calling that all for this particular episode. So remember, until next time, boys and girls, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything, unless it's sensible gun laws in the United States, apparently.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kicks were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times that made